right. So look at my notes. Okay, so yeah, you three are going to get some really deep attention today, because initially, the last time I did this session, I planned it to be only an hour, but because I wanted to give everyone some real depth work, we ended up going to 90 minutes. This time, we're going to 90 minutes. We're going to cut out some of the extra stuff, and that way you should have more time with either uh, a chronic pain you've chosen to work with or an emotional cycle you've chosen to work with. And that means when you leave, should feel significantly different than when you came in. Um, so yeah, does anyone have any questions? Looks like a
Nope.
no. Oh, wait a minute.
No, I was just saying nope.
Oh, all right, fair enough. So we're going to start with some invocations. All right, and invocation is basically a few steps. So the first step is that we choose where we're going to direct our statement. So in an affirmation, let's just take Muhammad Ali as an example. He used to say the phrase, I am the greatest, over and over and over and over and over and over, right? And I don't think anyone actually called him arrogant, definitely not to his face. But if anyone did think he was arrogant, I don't think it lasted very long, because it turned out many people would believe him to be the greatest because they'd see how well he'd perform in the boxing ring. But he would say, I am the greatest with so much feeling and belief, and it felt real. Now, if you were to use a statement like that, where would you direct the intention? You would direct, or your attention rather, you would direct that attention right at yourself and just sort of trust that your combination of feeling and knowing where you are uh, is enough as a point of address, right? An example to give this a bit more clarity is if you were going to direct a statement to a part of your body you wanted to heal, you would focus your intention and attention at that part of the body. And then once you felt you were connecting and just trusted it, that's enough. And then you say the statement and so on. So the first piece is directing your intention and attention to the place you are trying to communicate. Yeah, that's part one. Part two of the invocation is the actual statement. So I'm going to give you statements, and for ease, I'm going to do it repeat after me style. All right, and it's something you say out loud. You don't need your mics off. Sorry, yeah, you can keep your mics off, is what I'm trying to say. Um, and you just say these statements out loud. The reason we do out loud is because vibrationally, energetically, when we feel a certain statement, it starts creating energy in our body. Then we speak it out. When we speak it out, that energy gets transmit outside into our field, into what's going on around us, and we hear it. It's like the energy goes back in, it's like a loop. And because of that, when we do the next part, which is breathing in the nose to empower the statement, breathing out the mouth, emptying the mind, we can be present with, we can be present, and then we tend to have a physical sensation-based response to the words and the energy in the words. And it's potent. And you'll see, oh, I have a sensation rising in my chest. I have a sensation rising in my throat, in my hands, in my back, etc. Right? Really simple. So I'm going to paste the first one just so it's easy for you to follow. If for whatever reason repeat after me doesn't work. But I'm going to ask you to say this statement out loud, and I'll break it into pieces. So here's an example. I will say, I am not responsible for anyone else's energy. I'll pause, let you guys get in that, and then I'll say, I set free all energies I carry for others now. Pause, you guys follow. I own and am responsible for my sovereign energy only. And then Once you've said that bit, because that's the last piece of the phrase, big breath in, big breath out the mouth. As you're breathing out, you're emptying the mind of expectation, of looking for anything. You're just going into observation. Naturally, what will happen is something in your body will react. You will feel something, and it blossoms usually for people who've just started doing it. Like sometimes it's instant. Sometimes it's, whoa, I feel really light and like a heavy thing left me. And sometimes it will be something slow brewing. So it will be, oh, I'm feeling something build in my chest. I'm uh, feeling a softness here, and then now it's becoming this, and now it's becoming that. So one of those things should happen for you. Okay. But this is the portion where we start to clear. So these phrases are basically for, clearing your energy field. So let's do this together. All right. Mhm. Direct first your attention and energy to yourself. You could point it at your heart, you could point it at your field, whatever feels like you're addressing the totality of you at an energetic level. Trust, feel. That's it. Real simple. Okay. I am not responsible for anyone else's energy. Repeat after me. I set free all energies I carry for others now. I own and am responsible for my sovereign energy only. Empty the mind of all expectation, breathing slowly out the mouth, and observe what arises. As it starts to blossom, please let me know in the chat what you start to feel. Super lightheaded. Good. What about you, Katya? What about you, Megan? What are you guys feeling? Heat moving up to my head and energy circling counterclockwise in my crown. That's interesting. Okay. So, dense sensation in my lower abdomen, no temperature. Okay. Well, these are interesting responses. Okay. Now, how I would interpret them is there's some form of resistance with the idea that you're not responsible for other people's energies. Oftentimes, when I see this, it's someone who's a mother or someone who is a caretaker of others in their social circles or otherwise. Like they're the rock for everyone else, or they see themselves as the rock for everyone else. So there's resistance to letting that go. Right. Now, obviously, as a mother, depending how old your little one is, you are responsible for their life, right? So what you can do so that you don't feel like you're lying to yourself, because that's really important. This is why affirmations also don't work a lot of the time. Someone saying, I am abundant, and they got like 50p in their wallet or 50 cents or whatever. Um, because the nervous system's like, dude, why are you lying? Yeah. So in this case, for those of you who are mothers and are legitimately responsible for the life of someone, just check with yourself and say, okay, I'm responsible for the life of my child and making sure that they have a good life. You can say that out loud, and that should feel somewhat relieving. Might bring up some fear, depending if you're still working through some stuff, and that's totally fine. But that should give your nerves permission to then, when you say, I'm not responsible for the energies of others, I'm not responsible for anyone else's energy. You're talking about everyone else on the planet other than your kid. Okay? So if you can make that distinction internally and feel it, all right, put a Y in the chat. And if you're struggling to, give me an N. Okay. So what should we do for you? For those of you, okay, so for those of you who typed N, I'm going to give you something. And this might be useful for the rest of you to try out as well. Okay. Hmm. Oh, interesting. I think this is, I think this is why this was a closed session. Okay. So let's see. What should we do for you guys? Registered nurse. Yes. This would make sense. You're a caregiver, right? So it, I am going to make an assumption that the field was very wise today to bring you all together because it seems there is a connected field here. So it's showing me we have caregiver archetype and in various versions. So I would assume there is an emotional caregiver or someone with emotional caregiver habits, someone who actually does it for a living, and someone who, like, in terms of like a paid job, and someone who does it for a tiny human. And those are the three. Like, that's it. So, okay, what can I give you guys to help you relieve this? I love this challenge. Okay. Okay. One more question for all three of you. Okay. Because I think we're onto something. When you say, okay, so please, all three of you, we're going to do the invocation one more time, but this time I'm going to ask you after uh, for a specific breakdown of where the sensation is and how it feels and so on. Don't worry about memorizing it right now. When we get there, I'm going to ask you to give me a very specific breakdown and I'll share how to do it. And that's going to give me a little clue in terms of what to give you. Okay? So once again, the invocation said out loud and with the feeling, I want you to I want you to consider the idea that you are a whole sovereign being and that at your best, your cup is filled. And from your filled cup, you can pour to others. But you are not at your best if you are pouring from a dusty cup. So just entertain that idea for a moment, okay? Just centering yourself as an important piece of the puzzle of caretaking. Like, you are at the center. So if you do care about others, if you want to give to others, you got to fill your cup first, right? So you've got that on some level circling around. Whether or not it's perfect, not an issue right now. But we got that in there. Now, I am not responsible for anyone else's energy. I set free all energies I carry for others now. I own and am responsible for my sovereign energy only. Breathe out the mouth slowly, emptying the mind of all expectation. And I'm going to ask you to first acknowledge what location do you feel the sensation that has arisen, arosed, arisen. Location. So it could be chest, throat, hands, shoulders. Okay. So we're going to get location first, and then we're going to go with temperature. Okay. So temperature of the sensation. Is it hot, cold, lukewarm, tepid? Is it oscillating between hot and cold? Is it neutral? That counts. That is a temperature designation. All right. So we want location, temperature, and then motion. And you can write it all in one sentence if you're weighing. That's fine too. Okay. So we want location. We want temperature of the sensation. We want the motion of the sensation. So is it a pressure? Is it a compression? So is it like one pressure point, like a finger pointing you or a knife stabbing you? Is it a compression? Is it an expansion? Is it a throbbing? Is it a waving? Is it pins and needles? We're looking at qualities. So pain, we don't want. Pain is an aggregate for an intense sensation that is not releasing. Pleasure is an aggregate for an intense sensation that can release. Think of the difference between an orgasm and an ache. Very different, it just in the whether one thing releases or one thing stays. Okay. So we've got some good stuff here. So shoulders. What that means is the burdens we carry. Think of the language where we use the statement shouldering burdens. So this statement, if shoulders came up, this statement actually is putting you in contact with the idea of responsibility as burden, right? Now, behind the eyes is interesting because behind the eyes is, how I see the world, but we got the brain behind the eyes too. So what would I translate from that? To me, what it feels like the weight of the beliefs that are carried around burden, around carrying responsibility for others, which tells me it's more of an adaptation around fitting in. Like, okay, I chose to do this so that I could find a place where I could feel loved, which is all beliefs based, right? Neutral sensation is where someone's trying to not acknowledge how they feel. All right. So it's not the same as numbing. It's not the same as pushing through something. It's purely about, I don't want to know this is even here. Yeah. Um, but yeah, it's more like diverting attention. It's kind of, and this isn't me judging you. I want to be very careful about this. It's similar energy to when someone's trying to spiritually bypass, where they'll say like, "Oh, be positive," and they feel like crap, and they don't want to acknowledge the feeling like crap. It's not I'm going to then take up an addiction and do something. It's I'm going to just change my attention and go here, you know. And actually, sometimes that can be beneficial, but it's really at that nuanced level of emotion where that designation happens. So, okay, we've got warm, pulsing, pulsing and shifting from behind the eyes to the third eye. Okay, so it's going from beliefs that are stored to vision that wants to emerge. What is real? You know? All right, and then we've got lower abdominal, neutral, and pulsing. So abdominal, it's an interesting one because that's digestive system usually, stomach. And if we can't process something in the digestion, it's either this is hard to break down and process. So, how I would break that down is emotionally, there's too much complexity to this, tied to emotions I don't want to feel, numerous, and therefore I can't fully process this. It's like my body can't digest this. Or there's something in the idea of responsibility for others that is, or letting go of responsibility for others, that has I'm disgusted by this reaction. Example, it could be someone who observed a parent figure leaving the family and then just thinking that's disgusting. Just implanting a belief like that early on can create that dynamic in the self. And and pulsing is this is active right now. Yeah, it's like a heartbeat, right? It's alive right now. And then we've got now this is great. So feeling like a weight has been lifted from your shoulders and you can release your body as if you sat down a backpack. That tells me your body had a positive response to the statement this time. So that would lead me to believe that preparation we did in your mind of saying, oh, I'm allowed to fucking receive and I need to so that I can actually be a great caregiver because it is important in my life, but I can actually also receive and nourish myself. All right. So this is why I asked you to break down these specific sensations because they have a language. Um, Yeah, they have a language and our bodies talk to us all the time. We just don't know how the fuck to hear it. So this gives us an opportunity right now to hear it and respond. Yeah. Um, so I'm going to give you a different statement. I'm just going to double check it first. All right. See how this one lands. Okay. So we'll do another repeat after me. This is a different statement and I'll break it up into three pieces. Okay. So prepare yourselves, direct your attention and intention towards the whole of you in its in whatever concept of wholeness you can subconsciously consciously address. The whole freaking thing. From this moment and all moments afterward, I give my system permission to receive and be nurtured in all ways, wholly and completely with love. Breath in the nose. And then big breath slowly out the mouth, emptying the mind of all expectation, going fully into observation. And just take a moment to let it blossom. And when it feels like it's blossomed, when it feels like it's fully blossomed, please let me know the details of the sensation or sensations that have arisen, using that breakdown of location, temperature, motion, speed. Okay, this is great. So whenever we experience sensations that are uncomfortable, it's our body saying, I resist this. This is difficult for me to actually receive. So it's an important thing to understand about the self because chances are, if you're struggling in finances, healthy romantic partnerships, um, and feeling good about yourself, having enough energy, very likely there's a subconscious belief around allowing the self to receive and be nurtured wholly and trusting it can be. All right. So the body is showing you, oh, I don't know, that's fucking uncomfortable. All right. So a burp, by the way, if you burp, cough, yawn, need to suddenly go to the bathroom, if there's any release or freeing of energy that wants to come through, that's actually a good thing. That means even though you met resistance, the energy that you just put into your body with those words is having a response. And, or rather, the energy in your body resisting the words and energy you just put in with the words. There's a conflict and it's winning because the burp, the yawn, the cough, that's a sign of the energy in conflict being freed from the body. Okay. Now, fantastically, we've also got someone saying whole body rooting and warmth and a whoosh upward. When I said blooming, great. So that is a version of the body receiving it going, oh, yes, yes, thank you. And this is a great invocation for every morning to ground yourself in that energy of, I'm going to allow the universe to give me love in all the ways it knows, to nourish me, to feed me. And every day I'm going to allow my body more and more to calibrate to this belief. All right. So we're definitely going to do another round on that, but I might adjust it a little bit. And then we've got tension up my spine and right shoulder through neck and jaw and ear. That and neutral and steady. That is visceral. Okay. So the spine is all of the ways that we support ourselves or all of the ways we feel supported. So lower spine, as an example, is usually where um, lower spine is usually where symptoms to I don't feel fully supported by my family tend to arise, and it's eerily linked to financial issues many times. Mid spine, like right behind the heart, there's usually a rooting of grief in it and having to overgive, overdo as an adaptation to feeling like you weren't given the love that you really needed or could be nourished by as a kid. Yeah. So that's just two examples of the spine because the that area behind the heart is also what supports the arms, the doing, the giving, the receiving, but in the active sense. Yeah. Now the neck and the jaw, wow, the neck, the jaw, and the shoulder, and the right side. So that's also the yang slash masculine side. That's the active, that's the doing, that's the pursuing. Um, Usually that gets activated in women when they have that imbalance in the dynamic of how they were provided for emotionally as a kid, and then how they had to adapt. And then in relationships, sometimes that can carry through because we just echo the things that we haven't healed yet in our romantic relationships. So the neck and the jaw is what supports our voice, our advocating for ourselves and our needs. The um, ear is about receiving sound, and if sound for you or words of affirmation are really big, then it may be that the you desperately wanted to hear um, words of affirmation as a form of knowing you were loved, right? And as kids, we're trying to map all these things to understand the world, and that's one of the things we might map. So it's not everyone has that in the ear specifically, but that can be what it means. So I'm going to adjust the affirmation, or sorry, how dare I use that word? The invocation. Um, okay. This will allow your system to receive it easier. So if it's too much to say, I give my system permission to receive it. It's too much. Um, I'm very happy that this is helping. This is why I'm doing this, and I'm really glad it's landing. It's my Valentine's gift to you guys. Here we go. Uh, okay. So sometimes what we have to do in an invocation, if it's raising too much resistance, oh shit, where'd the signal go? Okay, good. Sometimes if we do this and it's raising too much resistance, we break it down to make it easier for our system to accept. So, um, okay. So this is a bit wordier. I might break it up into 4 or 5 pieces. So just bear with me. But there's a difference. To say a flat out affirmative statement can sometimes be too much. So we go back a step and we make it a gradual statement saying, I allow a little bit of this and a little bit of that and things to arise to show me that this thing's real. Okay, so that's how we adjust the dial. Okay, so let's do the repeat after me. First, intention, and attention going inward. Every day, I give the universe more and more permission to show me that I can receive and be nurtured in all ways, wholly and completely with love. Big breath in the nose. And then big, slow breath out the mouth, emptying the mind of all expectation. Let me know what arises. Okay, big yawn and a tingling warm sensation in your heart and hands. Fantastic. That tells me your body received it. Privately, so you can do this again while I review the rest as they come up. So for you, I would repeat the statement again and then let me know again what comes up. So statement with all of those steps, intend, attention to the self, say the statement out loud, big breath in the nose, slow breath out the mouth, empty mind of expectation, let things arise. So that's for you. Let's see what else comes up. Okay, so this now, I'm seeing that all of your systems received that very well. Sometimes we do need to take a step back and say, hey, nervous system or nerve system, thank you. Uh, hey, I know you thought that last one was a little too much. Let's make it easier for you and make this a gradual thing. You don't have to take this wholesale, you know? Now, a fluttering, cool sensation where collarbones meet throat. Interesting. Let me tune into that. What does that mean? And you can repeat the statement, by the way, and let me know what else comes up, because you'll see that there's a gradual improvement or gradual change. Sometimes, if there's significant resistance and you repeat something over and over, you're going to see it improve, or you'll see it get more inflamed and then improve. Yeah. All right. So for me, okay. So what I'm getting about the cool sensation where the collarbones meet the throat is that there's a softening and a permission being given to advocate for self. It's freeing up any tension that was here. And it's like, oh, we can relax. And cooling is to soothe any anger. And the anger may have been attached, like hidden anger may have been attached to, I don't feel safe to advocate for myself. Which, if again, you grew up in an environment where your word was shut down, this is going to feel like liberation. Because, oh, I don't have to shut myself down. Fantastic. Okay, this is working beautifully. And a big yawn and a warm rooting, feeling the weight connected with the couch. This is great. It sounds like your system is just going, oh, oh yeah, thank fuck for that. All right. So what I'm seeing for the group is there's a permission slip that needs to be given on the daily and an attention that needs to be activated for receiving love in all its forms and being nurtured by it as a prime piece of your day-to-day living. Okay. And if you do keep this up as a regular practice, so if you do this set of invocations every morning, when you wake up in the mirror, in your eyes is really bloody powerful with all the other systems in place, the attention, the breathing, the observation. And you do it at night before bed, you will see something shift within 3 to 4 days. If you keep it up for a couple of weeks, generally what you'll start to notice is, like pouring some kind of purifying liquid into funky liquid, you're going to see all the crap bubble up to the top. So there might be days where you feel like, oh no, this isn't working. Fuck, what's happening? No, if you start to have an incredible conflicting emotional experience or something arise from past that was very painful, it means it's working. Invocation is a form of energy work and energy healing using words. The best way to look at it. Yeah? All right. So for those who did the statement again, what did you get this time? And then we'll move on to the next bit. We could do like a whole thing just on this, but I want to give you guys what you came for as well, right? Stomach started gurgling the second time in a big burp. Great. That tells me you're hitting a deep root. And yeah, if it's getting the stomach, it means whatever you couldn't process before is getting activated. Not much noticeable difference. Well, great. That means, you're in a good place with this. If you do keep it up as a practice for a few days, doing morning and night, you might see something activate in your body that is related to why that wasn't there originally. Yeah. I am going to give you warm pulse in lower spine. Okay, so that tells me it's working. I'm going to give you one more statement to do, and then we'll move on to the next bit and then the full process. Okay, so this is just a bonus because there are three key archetypes around the same theme in this group, and it feels like a good opportunity to really help you see something and experience something important. Okay, okay, hold on. Whoops, one edit. All right, I edited the statement. So, based on what I'm seeing, this is the statement I'm giving you guys to invoke. So, once again, attention and intention inward. I'll do repeat after me just for your convenience. I give the universe permission to show me I can receive love in all its forms, wholly, fully, and completely in a healing, invigorating, and enriching way today and every day. Big breath in the nose. Biggest breath you've taken so far. And then when you feel ready, big, slow breath out the mouth, emptying the mind of expectation and observing what arises. Now let's see how you're having a response to this one. Is good. Warm pulsing through whole body, more stomach gurgling. So that's definitely affecting an emotional cycle that couldn't complete, that is resting in the stomach area. Big yawn again. Slight tension on my traps, neck, and back of head as if something sturdy is holding me there. And a helmet or neck cast. Okay, that's fantastic. That's telling me that this particular resistance, which is a seeded belief, it's being inflamed by this statement. It's being activated by this statement. So as I go through um, interpreting more of the stuff that comes in the chat, I'd encourage you to do it one more time and see what arises. And definitely file this invocation away. This is the configuration that I find is valuable for the morning and the night. But you can, of course, over time, adapt it with what feels right. And definitely pulsing a few muscle twitches in arm and eyebrow. Now, raising an eyebrow is suspicion, right? So there's like a, what do you call it? Skepticism. Can I, is this real? Is this a bunch of bullshit? Is this going to happen? Um, so what I would do in your case is go back to the last one we did that was more gradual. And then when you feel that that really starts to gain momentum, switch to this one. Yeah. So the idea is that we use a gradual one Oh, it felt like excitement. Oh, that's good. I wonder if it's suspicion of, wait, this is good? This can happen? Because that's also plausible, right? Um, if it feels positive, you know what? All of you do it one more time and let's see what happens. And then we're going to move on to the next bit. And well, we'll maybe have a bathroom break first. Yeah. Let's see one more. All of you do it one more time. Let's see what happens. And then we'll have a bathroom break and then come back and do the full journey. Beautiful. Tension in neck, base of skull. So that's where we store a lot of the ideas that become judgments. So to me, this sounds like the resistance to receiving in this way. Um, there's something certainly uh, rooted deeply there, but it's the kind of thing where you shift it and the world changes for you. You know what I mean? Let's see what else comes up for everybody. Okay, did it two more times, had to yawn already for the breath out, and then it was as if the tension slightly dissolved, as if a weight pulled my back down in a more upright position of my spine. So this tells me that the weight that has been moved is giving you a sense of, oh, I don't have, because I don't have to carry so much, I can stand taller. And I have less weight on my shoulders. So to me, that sounds like part of the weight you carry is the expectation to carry more than you receive. So perhaps what kind of ideas you were raised in or what was going on around you and the culture around you, whether, family and society, was that you somehow to be valued, seen, had to be giving more than you would receive. And that was somehow linked to how you were valued, how you were shown love is given or received. So that's my assessment of that. Um, if hopefully some of that is helpful to you. And let's see what else there is. So really the work that I'm seeing here for all of you is to make an effort to prime yourselves to see the love that comes to you in all its forms. And this is tied to health, money, energy. Um, and also to bring conflict to any time it seems like an event is occurring that would make you feel deserving of less than you do actually deserve, which is whatever you want. You are a child of the universe. Of course, you deserve all the things that you envision. Um, tightness in lower spine and warm. Okay. My upper spine popped gently on exhale. So to me, this sounds like it's making progress for you. Tightness in lower spine tells me there's still tension in or conflict in receiving from the family line in some way. So if their form of love just, and here's an example, right? It could be that the way the family expresses love is it's not something that you enjoy receiving. And I'm not saying that it's abuse or something like that. It could just be how they express love is just like, oh, it's so lame, or it's not enough, or something in those. in those spaces. Maybe it's just like I want to be loved like this, and you guys are loving me like that, and I don't like it. Um, Now, if it is a form of love that is actually um, from a good place, and you can allow yourself to tune into it without the judgment there, because it might be loaded into how they treated you before, right? They might still be doing something funky now. But if you can tune into, okay, where in here is there love that's actually good for me to receive? And you acknowledge it and allow yourself to receive it, that will start to open up, maybe not necessarily with them, but it will open energetic gates in other places in life. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm not saying put up with a bunch of shit. I'm saying look at what is really coming, like really look at it and see, is there anything in here that's actually healthy that I'm denying? And can I receive that without the other crap attached to it? And the answer might be no, but it is important to look. That's basically what I'm saying. All right, folks, we're going to take a bathroom break, 5-ish minutes, and then we're going to go straight into exercise. Rather not exercise like, running on a treadmill, but we're going to go straight into the actual process that you all came here for and are now prepared for. All right, so see you in 5 minutes. Okay, we might go a little over time. I apologize, but I do want you to all have a lovely result from today. So the next part, we're going to do one final invocation for preparing ourselves, preparing the nerve system for the healing process that we're going to engage. The healing process we're going to engage is where we activate either an emotional thing that's been bugging us for a while, the kind of thing that keeps you trapped in obsessive thoughts, or a chronic pain. And in the activation of that, we are then going to allow it to unravel, move through our body, have expressions or releases, and at the end, feel lighter. But to be able to go to the deepest possible point, we must first engage our nerves and ask them to calm. So, using the principle or the concept of invocation, this time we're going to direct our intention and attention at our central nerve system, what the medical community calls the nervous system. I don't like calling it that, but I catch myself doing it sometimes because it presupposes that it's supposed to be nervous. And I think that's a little unhealthy. So let's call it the central nerve system and point your attention and intention to where you feel you can access it. Could be anywhere. Yeah. And it's the same principle. Just feel and then trust that feeling that is your gateway to communicating with it. All right. So this time we will address the nerve system and we're going to ask it to first tell us where it's at. So in this moment, just tune in. We're not going to do an invocation with this part, but just tune in and give yourself a score out of 10 for how relaxed you feel. So if you feel like a Zen master, all right, Zen master, let's say that is a 0. And for 10, let's say that is that you work for Disney and you have some computer graphics to hand in tomorrow, or you have a family of 20 and you're on your own and you got to cook meals for them and clean up and God knows what else, right? So 0, complete Zen master, 10, chaos. Okay. And then write that score in the chat. Good Lord. We have a 10. Okay. It's going to be fun for you. Okay. Now here's what's important. You've heard of the idea of survival mode. Okay. Survival mode, we give it some illustration in the world of healing. If you're running away from a lion, you're at a 10. Yeah. You're like, fuck, I'm going to get eaten. I'm going to die. Run, 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 run. What your body does as a service to you is it prevents you accessing emotional processing. Yeah, so your emotional digestive system shuts off so you can be in your survival system. And example, you're running away from the lion. Let's say you got an Apple Watch, and on the Apple Watch, a very thoughtless friend says, "Hey, dude, sorry, I heard about your dad passing away or your mum passing away today." Right? Now, if you weren't running from the lion, you'd probably hit immediate grief or freak out or otherwise. But your body is getting flooded with adrenaline. Your amygdala's like in fucking survive mode. And eventually, through luck and God knows what else, you escape the lion. But the moment you escape the lion and your body knows it's safe, you will start crying. You'll start moving through the emotional waves, coughing, purging, God knows what else. And that system exists so that you can survive life and death situations. Now, society has evolved or devolved into this world where part of survival mode is I must submit documents before X o'clock, or, you know, I have to pay rent or bills. And that form of survival, because it's not activated in a wild environment, tends to hide under the radar. So when you give me, say, like a 4 out of 10, a 3 out of 10, a 2 out of 10, what you're telling me is you're actually in a subtle, silent survival mode. Yeah. So what we're going to do is bring that score down before we go into this process. Um, and I'm going to write it out on the chat so you can see it. So we're going to say nerve system, attention and intention address first. I want to move from a, hold on, not balanced. Let's take that out. I want to move from a X out of 10, right? So if you put 10, 10 out of 10, to a peaceful and safe feeling, 1 out of 10. Thank you. I love you. Big breath in the nose, pull the energy in, big breath out the mouth, empty the mind of expectation, watch what arises. It's that simple. I'm not going to do it repeat after me. I'm going to trust you to do it. Attention and intention. Nerve system. I want to move from a out of 10 to a peaceful and safe feeling, 1 out of 10. Thank you. I love you. Big breath in. And let me know what you experience in the chat. Okay. Immediate tears and grief hitting. Okay. That's a good thing. So this is you giving your permission, your body permission to get out survival mode. And yeah, it's not uncommon to see that experience, especially if you're out of 10. So this is a good tool for you. Felt like I was melting and then a huge yawn and a bit of tears. Great. Ah. So I'd encourage one more round, but before you go in, check your new score. It's likely the score went down. Okay. Sometimes it goes all the way in one go. Most cases, it goes down a little bit because your nerve system is going, do we feel safe to do this? Okay, let's move a little bit and check in. And then you have to address that number. So it could be, like a 7 this time or two or whatever. And this time, I'm going to give you a different formulation of that phrase. This is stuff you could, all the stuff I'm giving you today, stuff you can reuse out the session. Okay. Okay. This is important. The reason it's structured this way is because you are developing a relationship with your nerve system. You're communicating with it as an intelligence. Feeling almost like nausea rising, but released. It was what a deep breath was supposed to feel like. Fantastic. Fuck yes. Okay, I'm very happy about this. So all of you do this next bit, and as you can see, like we can spend more time on all of these pieces, but I want to, I came here with an objective for all of you, and I think you're all getting this is all stuff you can take with you and go further. Yeah. So I'm just giving you enough so you can take it, use it outside of the session and go deeper and go further with it. But I want to get you all like rolling enough so you're like, oh, I can use this. This shit works. Great. All right, it's the same thing. Address attention and intention. Thank you, nerve system. I felt that change. I now want to move from a X out of 10 to a peaceful and safe feeling 0 out of 10. I trust I am ready to experience what safety feels like in my body. Thank you. I love you. And then let me know what arises for you, and we shall engage the thing. More tears and tears and tears, and also a bit of anger, but my body is softening a tiny bit. Okay. There's obviously a lot of important stuff going on there. I would wager some of that survival mode you've been dealing with also contains resentment towards a person or persons who haven't been available to you, haven't been contributing in a way that, you know, they probably should. This time the yawn was right after I finished speaking while trying to inhale, felt my body dissolve. Fantastic. What physically felt like tension before feels like strength. Wow. Sounds like you're going through something very important in terms of realization. This is all very deep work that's happening right now. I'm glad you're all seeing what you're seeing. This feels important. It feels like it's bringing up uh, key things that may be put aside that without addressing, without acknowledging, may actually be causing you suffering. And yeah, fuck that. We don't need to carry suffering. Pain is definitely, pain is a teacher, but if we don't listen to it, we're just going to keep suffering. And yeah, this is, I'm glad you're all having the awarenesses that are coming up for you. Okay. So please take what you've learned in this, use it later. I might give you some guidelines at the end of the session. I probably will. Okay. So we're going to go into, oh, before we go in, please give me the score out of 10 you're at now. Okay. All have improved. This is fantastic. All right. So use this tool later for sure. Um, we're now going to go into activation of the energy and moving through it. Now, all of you seem to have had some important realizations come through. You can use what came up for you as the thing to roll with in this exercise. Okay, but typically how we do this next tool is we activate a memory or we activate a pain that's chronic and we acknowledge its location, the location, the temperature, the motion, and the speed. So we'll bring up a memory and then a sensation will typically occur. And that's the emotional data linked to the intellectual memory. And then in that, we start to observe it. And then in the observation, it starts to change. And as it changes, there's a couple of pieces to this system. You know, the language is important. That helps us understand. But the real magic occurs when we can observe it without judgment. So pain and pleasure are often judgments. And yeah, the difference is one has a release or an expression and the other just stays building and building and building. In this case, we don't want to label good or bad, painful or pleasurable. We want to experience it and witness it. And as we're witnessing it, it's sort of like, you know, when you go to a wine tasting or a chocolate tasting, a coffee tasting, olive oil tasting, whatever, a tasting where they're talking about the qualities of something. They're not going, this wine tastes like shit. They're going, oh, this one's a little bitter, a little sour, you know, and they're rolling it around their glass and sniffing it and whatever. They're getting into the details that are devoid of judgment. When you are observing sensation, you are witnessing, you are experiencing the emotion purely as energy, or the emotional cycles that have not been finished purely as energy. And your role in that moment to be most successful in processing it through you is to be the space holder. So, like the therapist or the big sister or big brother to the individual who's in maybe a childlike consciousness or just in pain, expressing freely. You're not there to fix it or change it. You're there to just be present and go, tell me more, and let it unravel. And oftentimes, what happens in holding that kind of space is that person has an awareness, a realization, a healing ratification, and then some kind of purgative with it. And when I say purge, I don't necessarily mean vomit, but it could be crying, it could be laughter, it could be burp, yawning, coughing, etc. Yeah. So, you know, the emotional digestive system, like our physical one, has a poop, right? And the poop in this case is a big expression. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to choose what you want to actually move through you. Yeah. So is it a chronic pain? Is it an emotional cycle? Is it a resentment that came up or an anger that you experienced, you know, or disempowerment, whatever it is, just call it in as a memory. Close your eyes and just bring in a vision of it. Okay, and when you have it, please type in the chat the location, the temperature, the motion, and the speed of the sensation that arises with that memory that's activated or the chronic pain that is activated. And I'm just using the term chronic pain because it's easier, but I don't believe that's what it is. If you're struggling as well, let me know. Oh, wow. Okay. We got some good ones here. So we're going to give these real time and attention. Probably going to go over by about 15 to 30 minutes. And I'm happy to do that. It's my fault we've gone over. But if you guys have hard exits, let me know, okay? I think we're just waiting for one more. Okay, so you got some good ones. So here's what I'd like you all to do. Place your left hand, even if it's brief, where that sensation is, but place your left hand there like you're holding it in a loving parental manner, like you're saying, hey, it's safe. I'm not trying to get rid of you. You're here. I'm here for you. Okay? And then the next part is with your eyes closed, observe the location, the temperature, the motion, the speed. You don't need to write it down anymore. You don't need to memorize it. You're just observing. Again, like a wine taster. This is active listening in energetic sensation form. And as you observe it, don't expect it to change. Don't expect it to do anything else. Let it just be, and it will unravel naturally. In the same way, someone venting at you eventually comes to wisdom. And if it is particularly uncomfortable, think of it like you have a yelling, screaming kid in front of you. You're not going to tell him, dude, shut the hell up. You're not going to, if you're itchy, don't scratch it. It's kind of the same thing. I know that seems a little strange. But if someone's freaking out in front of you, let them freak out and just be present with it. It will calm, it will change. There one person saying that they're noticing easing. It's okay. Stay with it a bit longer. Yeah. And don't expect it to go away. I'm not saying it won't, but that expectation alone is like listening to someone and secretly thinking, dude, shut the fuck up. Just fucking get on with it. You know, that alone can alter the process because this is happening on an subconscious and unconscious level. So what you are feeling is actually being communicated to the sensation. Yeah, it can be a challenge, but you can do it. You know, you can. You definitely can do it. So I'm going to ask you to just stay with it a bit longer. Stay observing. And as I said before, some purgatives may arise. Let them move through. You don't need to rush them. You don't need to, none of them are wrong or bad. Yeah. And once again, let me know the location, the temperature, the motion, the speed, just to see where you guys are at with progress. Okay. Shifted into what looked and felt like rippling water has a very soothing vibe now. Cold pulsating in the hand that was holding the area. That's healing energy. That's fantastic. That's soothing the heat. So cold isn't always about numbing. Sometimes it's about soothing fire. A slower heartbeat, relaxation in the throat, and some messages. Okay, that's great. That means the energy feels like it's being witnessed and heard. The energy represents a piece of your consciousness that wasn't allowed to fully move through. And the important part is to know that you simply observing it lets it be seen and heard and witnessed. That alone can take some of the charge out. There might be a practical thing that needs to be done to be corrected, but uh, sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes it's just the emotion in energetic form being witnessed that will allow the charge to move. And sometimes clarity that comes from a completely different angle shows up and lets you address what may have activated that discomfort in the first place. Okay, I think we're just waiting for one more. And I'm going to give you all an invocation that will help move things along. Okay. Still feeling tense. That's okay. So this invocation I'm going to give you now is to communicate with with the energy and that sensation and let them know they're safe enough to communicate with you more deeply. Okay? So this is to be said out loud, same system. Okay? But stay observing it until I share this. Okay. The invocation is up. Say it out loud in your own time. Breathe in the nose, out the mouth, etc., etc. You're addressing the sensation, same way you addressed your nerve system and so forth. And then let me know what arises after that. So what are we getting, folks? Burst of heat. Okay. So that sounds like some anger got moved. Warm and vibrating where the tension was. So that sounds like it was holding on to something important for you and it let it go. Energy activating again with more heat, faster pulsing in the heart and throat area. Okay. So what that tells me is that there was a lot of um, survival-based fear and panic energies, perhaps feelings of loneliness in that area, and it had to be stuffed down so you could move forward with what you were dealing with at the time. And so for you, it might be that it goes up before it comes down. Okay. If it brings the tears, the coughing, the yawning, let that move through and hold yourself while you do it. If you need a pause just to let that move, please do. Don't rush it. Don't constrict that. That's basically what I'm saying. Okay. So it seems like you've all had a jump in how that sensation's moving. Be present with it once again. And then when you notice a change in either location, temperature, motion, and speed, please put it in the chat. But just observe, acknowledge, be present. G pulsating now in the head, outwards through the crown, like it's pushing out. So it's like the body's saying, okay, I can release this out. Got a warm pressure in my head, like it felt full. Okay. So that sounds like it's showing where that density was held, and pressure in sensation directly translates to the emotional energy that was there. So chances are the belief system seeded a sense of pressure around how to be and who to be. I'm getting sensory messages now that are pulling my attention. Okay. So sometimes what can happen is the energy that was stored in one place, it's moved through a completion or a layer, and now the next layer under is starting to unfold. Okay. This is fantastic. Uh, you're all having the classical experience that goes down with this process. I'm going to give you another invocation. So once again, we're saying thank you to the sensation for communicating. And we're also acknowledging the energy and intelligence in that area for holding on to whatever that cycle was for us. So I give you thanks for holding this for me for so long. And then we're giving it permission to let go of anything it's been holding out of protection or care. So I give you permission to finally let it go. I'm safe now and I feel ready to hear your full message. Thank you. I love you. Okay. So it's just taking it to another level of trust and openness, appreciation. All right. So give that a shot. Let me know what you get. Please put in the chat what arises for you. Felt head pressure flow down to heart center. It hurt for about 10 seconds and I felt the pain subside and a full feeling there. Okay, so that's taking it from the belief place, holding ideas place, moving it down into feeling. So that's great. That sounds like it's moving into allowing you to feel and acknowledge what was underneath the beliefs. A feeling of neutrality in the chest, but suddenly a pulsating intensity in the left knee and left butt cheek. So the knee is about standing in our power, supporting us as we do. Left butt cheek, that's an interesting one. I guess that's more like sitting in our power. I think that's more, so I would get a message of there was an identity shift that happened for you. And the neutrality in the chest is perhaps uh, not wanting to acknowledge or be present in that too much. Perhaps it was too painful. But the impact on your being feels like that is what is arising to be worked with in that. Um, okay, same tense ball, lower in the back with less intensity. Okay, so that's good. That's some progress. Okay, so continue observing. I'm going to give you, there's going to be two more invocations before we close, and then we'll have questions and all of that stuff. And let me know when you experience another change. Okay, some coldness in the left foot. Okay, so now more about, yeah, more about um, the identity you were stepping in or you were in, and the identity shift that you stepped into. The conflict there is what I'm seeing. And that seems to actually be coming to the surface because coldness is numbing. That's like we only numb when we're trying to cope with something that is just too intense. And it could be that there was an identity shift so rapid, um, which, if your motherhood is new, makes sense to me. I would say there's something linked in that. Still feels like it's moving down. It feels like it's moving down my spine still, but leaves the air feeling like it's vibrating the tension out. Fantastic. Okay, so that's when the process is actually in, okay, I'm ready to actually let go of this. And you may find as you do the process, things come to mind. Aspects of the memory might try and speak up. It's important not to latch onto them and, hang on but to just notice them and acknowledge them, that helps. And later, more realizations will come. The fullness I felt in my head is now in my chest, but it's not uncomfortable. I just feel full and kind of warm. Great. Okay. So you've now had a good amount of time with this process. Oh, good. A lot of scent and taste memories coming through. Fantastic. You've now had a good amount of time with this process. So what we do, if we can't bring it to a full completion, and some of the more dense ones take a bit more time. They can take like 30, 45 minutes. Um, I guided a friend through a 45-minute like just this part of the process before, and she puked something out in a little bucket that looked kind of creepy, but she felt incredible after, you know. You now know how to do this process. You can do it in your own time. So I'm going to give you the invocation that closes out the process, and then I'm going to give you the invocation for letting go of any energies in the field. Yeah. So this is the next one to do, basically. Thank you for communicating with me and trusting me. I'm grateful for our time today. We will pause for further communication for now. I vow to listen to you more attentively when you speak to me next. You are invited to let go of anything else you're carrying for me throughout the rest of today. Thank you. I love you. And let me know what arises from you doing that. Marvelous. My arms and hands feel lighter, slightly cooler. That deep breath and exhale felt really good, and I felt like a noodle. That's great. Okay. So I think we were waiting for one more, but I have posted this. Not feeling anything of note. I do need to run soon, so I'm probably removed from focus. That's fair. Okay. So this is the final piece. Yeah, we went over by 30 minutes, but I wanted to make sure you guys got real meaningful attention. Okay. So this is the final piece. And I've left a caveat for those of you who are responsible for a tiny person or someone else's survival. Um, but you're activating sovereignty of energy, okay, or sovereignty of energy. And you're not responsible for their energy necessarily, for their reactions, but you are responsible for yourself, your energy, and whatever you choose to give. Yeah. So I'm not responsible for anyone else's energy. I set free all energies I've carried for others now. I own, hold, and am responsible for my sovereign energy only. Big breath in, big breath out. Share what you feel. And then I will open to questions and recommendations for how to use this in your day or days. Warm tingling in hands and slight drop in shoulders. Good. So this is definitely a healthy invocation for you, madame. Feel whole body heavy in a relaxed way, like I felt something give. Good. Yeah, that feels like the body is not tense anymore. It's just like, ah, great. Great. Feel very different from when we started. That is the point. Also feel more grounded and centered. Good. And the key of why this is important is that when we don't process our emotions, they can unground us. A piece of being grounded is to be able to be present with the emotions, but in survival mode, it is so difficult to do that. My awareness shifted to my kidneys, indicating for me a reminder to drink water and other forms of self-care. Great. With water, it is important to acknowledge hydrating water is key. So if you buy purified water from the shop, it's garbage. It is absolute crap. It pulls minerals out of you. So you want to make water really hydrating. There's a recipe I can give you right now. It's basically modified suero. If you live or have been in Mexico, you probably know what suero is. Basically tastes like Gatorade, but lemon or lime, I'll go with lemon. A whole lemon, and you're looking at like a vessel that maybe like not coffee mug, but bigger than coffee mug, ideally, like a jar. If you go like get pasta sauce from a shop, that size is perfect. You want really high mineral content salt, so that could be Icelandic sea salt, Himalayan salt, Celtic sea salt. So a little pinch of that in there. Water, obviously. Whole lemon for that size. Whole lemon or lime squeezed out in that glass. And then a tiny, like a half teaspoon flat of honey or agave, some sweet. Stir it up, drink that. I promise you, you will feel super hydrated. All right. And self-care, there's a link I can share with you from my website. Quickly grab that for you. Um, so thanks for that note for ye who shared it. I'm gonna grab this now. Okay. All right. So I have an aftercare 101 article on my website. Go there. That will give you pointers. Short version. If you feel tired, sleep. If you feel like you need to cry, cry. Get out in nature, put your feet on bare earth or sand, whatever you can. If it's too bloody cold, give yourself a relaxing bath if you can, if you have a bath. If you don't have a bath, enjoy a nice shower, put on some music you love, and just give yourself some time and attention, however that is for you. And let's see, anything else I need to remind you of? Hydrate more than usual. That water recipe is gold, seriously. I am currently living in a desert, and it makes a huge difference. Being hydrated is massively important for your muscles, your fascia, the movement of energy. And when we do any kind of energy work, which deep emotional work is energy work, um, you will need to hydrate more. Um, yeah. Only a couple of things to let you know about before we go to Q&A. I have a one-day retreat coming up in California, Los Angeles, a nice part of LA. It's not going to be in the city. And it is called the Reset Button. And it mixes psilocybin with specific techniques, tools that I give. So this tool will actually be present at that retreat. And I'm partnering with a friend who's a psilocybin and DMT trained psychotherapist. We're not going to be using DMT at the retreat, but we will be using psilocybin. And it's meant to be using psilocybin with things that allow you to activate long-term change in your brain. And yeah, it's in LA. It's for one day. It's on March 14th. Um, and it is 800 US dollars. And yeah, it's basically the kind of thing you have to pay like 2 to 3 grand to do. And we're limiting it to 8 people. So that's one thing we're doing. Obviously, I do one-on-one sessions. They can be found here. Similar, I do this guided, do circuit reading, which is a analysis of your system piece by piece, what subconscious things lay there, and cord work, which is really good for healing family and relationships where the energy is still dense and perhaps affecting you negatively through the day. And the only other thing I'm going to share today is Everyday Psychic course, which I think two of you are on anyway. So, yeah. But yeah, the that's available. And for people who came today, there's a $30 off discount that will bring it down to $90 from 120. And that code is fly, 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 all one word. And that will have some of the tools for today. Not the litmus, but it will have some deeper clearing tools as well and some other bits. But that's it for my bit of telling you about things. Um, oh no, there's one more bit. On the school group, I'm actually lining up for this next weekend coming, a chat, an interview with a friend of mine who teaches a form of clairvoyance that is very unique. She's a real special one. No one else I've ever met teaches what she teaches. And it will be fascinating. She's a very special practitioner and not well known. So I wanted to give her some kind of platforming. So more on that will come. If anyone wants to share or ask questions, you're all welcome to unmute and just fucking go for it.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for this. This was really, really impactful and came at the right time. And also, many things that you shared were exactly on point. Big identity shift with motherhood, but also with a recent separation and struggle on all fronts with a lot of uncertainty. So, really deep red and survival. So yeah, I'm gonna practice and use these invocations from now on very often. Thank you.
Good. Glad to hear, and not so much about the stuff you're going through, but that it's helped. So I'm
Yeah,
glad. And
thank
yeah,
you.
you will feel if you do regular practice with it, you will start to feel some different things. And anything that comes up for you, feel free to share in the chat group, within reason of what you want to be vulnerable with. And I'll share what is helpful for you there as well.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Cool.
I don't have any questions, Dan, but as always, I appreciate you. And Katya, I'm sending you so many loving vibes right now and a lot of strength because it sounds like you're going through a really tough time, and I'm sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Cool.
I receive all the love in all forms, wholly and completely from today on.
Well, it is coming at you, girl.
Thank you.
Good. All right, folks, it has been a pleasure. I will see you again when I do this again. And yeah, have a great February 14th, whatever it means to you. Mwah!